Hello, and welcome to the second tutorial on Unreal Engine 5. For this tutorial, we are going to be talking about how to create a character for your player to take control of and how to give it some movement capabilities. To showcase this, I am in this lovely Gladiator Arena environment kit by Denise Rutkovskyi. I'll put that on the screen and in the description because I probably butchered that last name heavily. Um, so the first thing you're going to need is to access the content drawer. You can do this just from the bottom left and clicking here. However, a nice handy shortcut for that, leading on from the previous video, is Control Spacebar. This brings up the content drawer. You can, it's only temporary. So if you drag something up, so if I get something from the starter content, let's go architecture, and I drag this out, you can see it goes away. It's only temporary, it's only, if you're dragging something out, it goes away. If you want it around permanently, you click this dock in layout here, it brings up this little window, then left click and drag on this content browser bit here, and you can then put it wherever you want. I personally don't like. I prefer the temporary one. But again, that's personal preference. You do you. So before we do anything with giving character movement, we're going to need two basic things. We're going to need a character pawn and game mode. To do so, we go to the content drawer, go anywhere. I'm just here for the moment. Right click in the content drawer and go to blueprint class here. Once you're here, you'll get this little menu here for pick parent class. This is where we can put in different kinds of pawns and a lot of other things. So these are the most common ones. You have all the other classes here. So what we need is the character. And then what I would suggest for every blueprint is you do BP underscore and then name it. The reason why is because if you have multiple different things, so you see all these options, if you have several of these, like a load of these with the same name, so in this case character, and then you just search by character, you'll have a long list of options. By having BP, it allows you to narrow it down even more. So you can just go BP and oh look, there's all the blueprint classes here, and all I need to do is just start typing out the one I want, and it brings up, it makes it just nice and simple to search. And the other thing we need is a game mode. So again, right click blueprint class, then we want game mode base. This game mode gives the simulation and then the game the rules of it, so it sets the rules of what the player interacts with. So now we have these. We now go to edit, project settings up here. The first thing we do is maps and modes. Then we want to change here default game mode. We want to change that to the one we just created, so in this case BP game mode. And then bring down this drop down selected game mode. We want to change this default pawn class to the one we just created, so BP character. We're not changing anything else, we're just changing these two. So change the default game mode to BP game mode, then default pawn class to BP character. Once you've done that, we still need to be in project settings. So go down here to input. Then once you're here, we can start adding in the movement keys. Since this is a basic tutorial, we don't need to worry about this little warning here, but so you can ignore that. So we have action mappings here and axis mappings. The difference between the two is that action mappings are to do with, as the name suggests, actions. So this can be crouch, jump, any interact. So if you want your player to hold or press E to interact with, say, a door or a button, that's where you put the command, the E hotkey command for later on. For what we need movement. So we're going on axis mappings here. So click on the plus, add axis mappings, and bring down the drop down. And then type in move forward, then create another one, and then do this for the rest. So move back, move left, move right. Then finally the mouse. We want mouse vertical, and then mouse horizontal. I'm shortening horizontal to hori. You can also do things here for controller. It's not limited to keyboard and mouse. You can put controller keys here. So now we have these. We want to bring down the drop downs for each of these. And you'll see here the none drop down. So what we can do is here we set the actual command. You can technically go to the drop down keyboard and you'll have all the keyboard keys here. However, something a little shortcut for especially keyboard is this little button to the left here. Select the key value. So click that, it'll go yellow, and then click the keybind you want to set. So in this case, move forward to W, back to S, and then WASD. Now for the mouse, the select the key value doesn't work for the mouse. It doesn't register it. So what you need to do is the drop down, then mouse. Since this is vertical, we want the y-axis. And then for horizontal, again, mouse, in this case, the x-axis. Now, don't close project settings yet. There's still one more thing we need to do. You'll notice on the right here, to the right of it, you'll see scale. You'll see all of this is set to 1. Now, this is a slight issue in Unreal Engine, and you'll see why later on. Because if you have, for example, the move back set to scale 1 as well as the move forward, if you click S, your character will not move back, it will instead move forward. And again, I'll show you why in a bit. So change that to a minus number, and then you want to change the left to a minus number as well. And it's for a similar reason. If you clicked A with the scale being 1, it actually moves you to the right. I will again show you why in a bit. So now we've done that. Oh, one more thing. You can change this to any number if you want. It just basically increases the speed of the character. So if I put this to 10, my character would then move forward 10 times faster than at scale 1, for example. It allows you to change the speed. So we're just obviously going to keep that as 1. So now we can actually close project settings. We're now done there. What we need is now the content drawer. So bring up the content drawer, so control spacebar, and then double click on BP character. It'll bring up this menu here. You can, like I normally do, hold left click on this little tag here and bring it up here. It's just the way I like to work. You can just have it out if you really want, but I prefer having it up here. It'll bring you this whole mess of information, which we don't worry about. Since we're just adding basic movement, we don't care about this. This can be talked about in a different tutorial. For us, we just want the event graph. It'll bring up this little kind of mini play space here. So the same rules apply. Hold right click to move, left click to drag and highlight. You can zoom in and out. So similar rules to the normal play space. So we're going to get rid of these 3. We don't need them. Since we're talking about character movement, we don't need those 2. Those are more to do with what happens when, for example, the top one was when the game first starts, what happens, because that was event begin. So we don't want to worry about that. So what we do, instead of holding right click, we want to just right click, just one press. It brings up this menu here, and you'll see there's a load of options. We don't care for movement about any of this because we can search. So type in move forward. It will bring you these two options: input access events and access values. Since we are talking about wanting something to happen, we want the access event. So click on this and it'll bring up this red box here. And what you want to do is now hold left click on this execute little white tag, and it'll bring up this little white wire here. And then so drag it off in any empty space, let go of left click, and it'll bring you another drop down. For movement, we want add movement input. So this one here, it'll bring you this blue box, and you'll notice the two boxes here both have got green parts on it. And as you can probably guess, we want to connect these two. The reason why is because you'll see here scale value. So this is doing exactly the same as what we did in project settings. We can change this to 10 and it would basically go, hey, when we press W in this case, it will then go, oh, W has been pressed, travel along this line, oh, we're adding a movement input. And so we want it to be a scale value of 10. That's what I've changed here. However, by dragging this, all we now need to do is anytime we go into edit project settings and then input and we change this scale value, it automatically changes the value here. So that just what that does. So now we have that, we want to right click in this open space over here because we're still not done a move forward. We want get actor forward vector. We want this one here. This brings up a green box this time. We don't care about this blue one in this instance. We just want this yellow, because you also notice this blue thing has also got a yellow. So connect those two, and that basically says, hey, after I press W key, add a movement at this scale in this direction. This in this case being forward. Which basically, so as you can see here, get the forward X vector at a length of 1. And that's like 1 unit in the play space. That's basically all this blueprint here means. When I press W, add a movement input at this scale value, which is dictated by this, at this world direction, which is dictated by this. Literally all it means, it's that simple. And now we can do the rest. And the good thing is we can copy and paste. So, however, we don't want to copy this one. We can copy this. So Control C, Control V creates another one. And then we want 4 more of these. One for each, because we're not doing mouse movement yet. So now we have this. We can't copy this because this means we're moving forward. That means we want to move back for this one. So access event, move back, pull the execute tab to the next one, access value to that, and we also want this forward vector for back. And this is why I talked about the scale earlier in project settings, because there's no such thing as get actor back, reverse, there's only forward. There's no such thing as reverse. So that's why we set backwards to be a minus number. So allow us to then go, hey, I want to head in this direction, but at a minus value. So that brings us backwards. So now we've done that, we want the rest. Move right, pull value, and in this case we want get actor right vector. There's no such thing as a left vector, like there isn't a thing for backwards vector. And because of that, we set the move left to a minus number for the same reason we did the back at a minus number. So don't need to type it, I could just Control C, Control V. And there we go. You now have the basic movement for WASD. And what you want to do is, I personally would want to test this. I want to see if it works, because if not, I've done something wrong. To do so, I would suggest clicking compile. You need to do it anyway. So before you do anything, it wouldn't work unless you compile. The reason why is because Unreal checks to see if everything works. So basically it runs a test. So it goes, okay, so I ghost press W, that does this, that does this, and basically it basically checks if there's an error. If there's an error, it will flag up a warning here. And you can go, okay, so there was something wrong here, and you can check to see what the issue was. So after you compile, I personally save, and then we can come here. So now we have this. You can notice that if I do play, I still can't. There we go. I can move about. Very laggy, but I can still move about. There we go, it's fixed itself. However, I've got no mouse movement. And that's fine because we didn't do mouse movement. However, you'll notice that I dropped from the sky from where this camera just was. Reason why is because we didn't put the character in the actual play space. Do so, all you literally do, hold left click and drag. Literally all you do. I would suggest zooming in. You see this blue arrow here? That tells you which direction the character will face when it first spawns in. So for me, I want to rotate this 90 degrees so it faces this way. So the rest of the stadium, and I'm gonna centralize it a little bit. Bring it back here. Centralize it on that line. And yeah, so now I've done that, bring it down a little bit. And you can notice when it hits the floor, because as you can see, it's like part of it disappears. So I'm just going to have it one above. And there you go. So now I can click play. Did not work. That'd be why, because I'm an idiot. And I'm forgetful. What you also need is a player start. So this basically tells you, basically says where the actual, where the player would actually start. To do so, we're going to go to this button up here, the quickly add project, basic, player start, and there we go. We have a player start. And I am going to obviously rotate that 90 degrees facing that way. And there we go. And one above. So now if I click play, there we go. I spawn where I want. And obviously I can't do anything because my cursor's there. I left click in and I can now move about. I still don't have mouse movement because we haven't done any of that. So now that you have a character in the play space that can walk about. That is an accomplishment. That's more than what some people can do initially, because how complicated it is. So now you want to know about how to put in mouse camera movement. So go back to your BP character, and we're going to move just to the right. Again, you can do this anywhere. I just like to do it like this. So again, mouse vertical, and we're going to have mouse horizontal. Bring these two out, just like we did with the move forward and the back and whatnot. But we're not doing movement because we're not moving anywhere with the mouse. And so what we want is actually add controller. And you'll see these inputs here: pitch, roll, yaw. You can probably guess what each one does. Pitch will do for vertical, because that does up and down movement. And again, green to green, but we don't have to worry about these because we're not moving. And again, mouse horizontal, we want add controller. In this instance, we're going to do yaw. If you do roll, you'll basically have your character do a barrel roll every time you move your mouse left or right. So we're going to do yaw, and then access value to value, compile, save, You come back to here, click play, and you'll notice you can, once you click in, you can move left and right. If you push your mouse forward, uh-oh, your character is now going down. You have inverted controls. And the reason for that, which I personally still haven't figured out, is that Unreal, on a scale of 1 for mouse movement, on a scale of 1, has it basically be what we know as inverted controls. So come back to input, put the mouse vertical to a minus number. Once you've done that, you can exit out. And the best thing is, because we set that green to that green, that's automatically changed. Means you don't have to change the value here every single time. You can just go to there and it automatically does it for you. It's really nice because if, for example, you didn't have this up, so you closed it, and you go and you find an issue and go, oh, it's for some reason looking down when I want to look up. I can just quickly change the value in it in project settings. You don't have to worry about it, which is just very nice. So I have that. Once I change an input, I personally recompile and save. You don't have to, because all it's done is change this automatically. You don't need to. I personally like to do so, just for ease of mind. So now you've done that, you can click play, you spawn in, left click in, you have WASD, left and right, and up and down proper. And there you go. You now have a character the player can control and move about and explore the world. It's very nice, if not just laggy as hell. Um, and that's basically it. You now have a pawn, an actor, whatever you want to call it. The player can take control of when they start the game up and start walking about. Also allows you, when you do so, is that if you want to see what the player sees and from their perspective, you can put this in, put in the basic movement, and voila, you can walk about and see exactly what the player sees. Because I can look at this from up here, but I don't know what the player's seeing, like in their mind, like how they're seeing it. So I can go, oh, this looks nice. But if there was an issue I couldn't see, I can go back to player mode and I can go, oh, there's an issue down here. Very dark though. It just allows you to see what especially for first person, allows you to see what the player's seeing. It does get a bit more complicated when you want to do some third person and some third person, because then you need a an actual skeleton, also known as a skeletal mesh. You'll need the actual character mesh itself, so what they obviously see in front of them as are their third person. Um, Even then, sort of like when you want to do like a first-person game that's got sort of like arms, so like with like a first-person shooter, you can see like the arms holding the gun. That still is got a skeletal mesh, so uh, you still have to worry about that if you're not careful. However, this instance, we don't care about that. That's going a bit more advanced. We only want to be able to come in here and have a walkabout. Again, I'll quickly go over. You can obviously come out of this video if you want. I'm just going to do a quick recap. That's basically a TLDR. Create a character. So blueprint, character. Create also game-based mode. Once you've done that, go to edit project settings. Go to map modes. Change this to the game mode you want. Bring down this drop down. Change the default pawn class to the one you just created. Once you've done that, scroll down, go to input, put in into access mappings, put in move forward, back, left, right, mouse vertical, mouse horizontal, input the keys you want, change the mouse. Mouse doesn't work for these. You have to actually use the drop downs. Change the scale value, so move the back to -1, move the left to -1, and the vertical, mouse vertical to minus number. Come out of that, go into BP character, event graph. You want to right click, move forward or back or left, whatever, brings up this red box here. Connect it to and add movement input, connect the green to the green, right click, create a get actor forward vector, yellow to yellow, rinse and repeat for back, right and left, and just for right and left you want get actor right vector. For mouse, get the mouse vertical and the mouse horizontal. Then all you need is the add controller pitch and your green to green, green to green. You're done. It's that simple. That's a very basic movement tool and character. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next tutorial.